and welcome to another exclusive live stream on the Square Circle Podcast Hub right here on marieshadows.substack.com. If you are not signed up to a free wrestling newsletter that has a paywall only for selected items and selected content, you're doing yourself a disservice. Do not miss out on any cool things to talk about and any cool things to view and have a conversation with. So, marieshadows.substack.com. Thank you guys for being here. Last night, I did do a live stream over at youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. And that live stream was talking about almost all of the wrestling topics that we have. Basically, we talked a little bit about CMLL and AAA because my community doesn't know, well, wanted to know the difference between the two. And I gave, an answer to the best of my ability for, that kind of question. I did talk a little bit about the WWE acquiring AAA and like what we can see in the future. And I did talk about at length stuff you don't do on the internet and people you don't bully on the internet for no reason. I went into the United Empire drama. You guys can go over to youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast to view the whole thing. I will just give you the cliff notes. So as you know, and as the previous live streams right here on the Substack live stream, we talked about how Jeff Cobb is leaving the United Empire and leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it is confirmed and indeed that he's going to WWE because after he decided to put a farewell tweet and only named specific people within the United Empire and did not name TJP, someone I guess sarcastically or maybe enthusiastically basically mentioned to Jeff Cobb, oh, don't forget about TJP, who's captaining the ship. And then, Jeff Cobb is laughing, and Jeff Cobb and TJP, had a little bit of an exchange on the timeline. And then TJP's wife, who is a third party person into this whole entire situation. If you guys grew up in the same era that I did, you guys would know the phrase of like, this is an A and B conversation, see your way out of it. That was exactly what happened, but she did not see her way out of it. By the way, TJP's wife, Aria Perkins, has me blocked on Twitter for some odd reason. Like, I don't even know. I never interacted with her. But just know that I'm not going to be thinking the same kind of thought pattern as everybody else nowadays, where you have to have like extreme empathy, extreme sympathy. You have to, go along with what people want you to go along with rather than like having your own individuality and like learning as you go rather than just being a robot and be like, I agree. That's it. I agree. I don't know what else to think. I agree. I don't do that. I have my own thoughts. I have my own individuality, my own experiences, and stuff like that. So I have no idea why she blocked me. But then again, no harm, no foul. But that's just context there. So she decided to put out a lot of dirty laundry and was definitely very angry to the point where she told Jeff Cobb to unalive himself. And we don't do that. If we hold other accounts in the IWC, accountable for things, and we're like, hey, can you please report this account because this is either like true hate speech, true like violence or whatnot, it sounds like a threat or something. We do our best to get that account reported because you're not really like, why would you go after somebody that you don't even know? Truly, you don't even know, and be like, oh, unalive yourself or go do this or go do that just because of anger and stuff like that. Like, there's ways to handle certain things. And plus, anyway, both of them, when I say both of them, I mean Arya and TJP made it seem as if, like, due to Jeff Cobb's, I guess, what he's been talking about, the passive aggressiveness, like his actions has caused like them to pivot and make changes based on it and do what's best for their family. And it's like, why is it at the expense of Jeff Cobb and whatever he does? Whatever he does not really affect anybody else, except for maybe trying to get like more bookings for everybody else. And the way that he says things can have people think of like, oh yeah, he's totally right because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe the United Empire should get these opportunities or whatnot. But just made it seem as if like, his actions caused a reaction to how they are gonna how can I say this, because it's only TJP wrestling, cause a reaction to how they get bookings and how they do this, how they do that. And it's also confirmed too that TJP is a freelancer for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And that really doesn't hold too much because we know that there's a lot of freelancers on the indies already. And even though they get a taste of like a tour of working for New Japan Pro Wrestling, that doesn't mean that New Japan is gonna like call them back. So, two members technically are leaving the United Empire because one's a freelancer and the other one is already out the door. His last match, Jeff Cobb's last match was April 19th. He was the first one on the card, and honestly, I wanted him to show up at WrestleMania to be part of like either like the Rock's group or whatnot because Jeff Cobb needs to come in as like an enforcer for WWE when he arrives. He needs to be an enforcer for a couple months until he breaks out and does his own thing. And it's gonna be very very wonderful. But the wife of TJP was very like upset that he's going to WWE. Like everyone's dream is to go to WWE. If they tell you it's not, they're lying to save face because they don't want to, have heartbreaks with their fans and whatnot. Because some fans just take it to the extreme. And I said this on my live stream yesterday that if you use the phrase "the Fed" when referring to WWE, you have a high school child like mentality where it's like you gotta say their name, man. Like you guys want people to go by whatever rules you set up. But if society is like, oh, this is WWE, you're like, no, that's the Fed. Go and watch the Fed. Go and watch some PG stuff. Like, that sounds very childish. Go watch the Fed. Like, we know the Fed as like, code word for like FBI and like the government and all that. But somehow WWE has been revert back to the Fed as in like WWF, like World Wrestling Federation. Like, what? Why are we going back in time and not trying to progress forward? But in their minds, they feel like they're progressing forward by saying, hey, you still watch the Fed. How dare you watch the Fed? Why are you having fun watching the Fed when you could be watching actual wrestling? There's no wrestling in the Fed. There's always been wrestling in the world. I was gonna be like World Wildlife Federation. There's always been wrestling in WWF and WWE. It is there. Nobody wants to see it because all they do is just see the promos. All they do is just see a bunch of segments and stuff like that. You need a little bit of everything, especially when you're on TV. You can't just rely on what the indies do on a monthly basis where they barely have any kind of story going from month to month to month and just have wrestling matches. You can't survive off of that. Um, but yeah, it was a whole big deal. She went after him so bad, and I was like, "Where's the accountability? Is she gonna apologize to Jeff Cobb? Like, why are you trying to be the Chihuahua barking at the Great Dane that is Jeff Cobb when it has nothing to do with her? She's not even working with the United Empire. She's not even a valet to TJP, and then she's gonna go and mouth off." And she's not even working for New Japan Pro Wrestling. If she was around the United Empire like 24/7, um, and having like maybe a say in like what they do for like story wise or even like working with New Japan Pro Wrestling in some capacity, and she'll have the backstage knowledge and access, this really wouldn't be such a thing. But if like you're gonna be the third person trying to talk your shit to a big guy that can just sit on you, that's not a good look. It's always the ones that are don't want to understand fully about what's happening, and then just say things and don't apologize and don't hold themselves accountable, but will hold other people accountable for things that they don't like, and then they don't understand why someone wouldn't understand why they're doing that. But yeah, Jeff Cobb did not deserve that, not at all. But more power to Jeff Cobb for choosing WWE, and going over there, and hopefully things will work out. Other than that, on the live stream yesterday, I did talk about The Rock. We listened to him on Pat McAfee explaining why he wasn't at WrestleMania 41, and everybody is just really, really upset. I guess I'll talk about this now rather than after going over the full WrestleMania card. But you know what's weird? That people on the internet, especially those that lead the charge, that are the loudest of the bunch. Even though I really don't pay attention that much to Busted Open Radio, but like, you know, the loudest people in the room, you could think about who they are. The loudest people in the room tend to lead with the wrong foot forward, because not too long ago, when it was Windy City Riot at like the beginning of this month, which should have been like April 9th or 11th, one of those 2 days, The Rock posted a picture of him with the Lion Mark t-shirt and staring at a Rubik's Cube, and we were all like in agreement. We were all talking about it. That made buzz. And then, I think that we came to like a consensus of like, well, me and the normal people in the group, well, in the Twitter group, in a way, not really a group, but the main ones that I hang out with, we all agree that eventually there might end up being a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and who knows, sometime later on this year or next year, New Japan has to wake up, because, like I said, New Japan is spiraling out of control. They're going on as business as usual, and like I said, who does that? AEW goes on as business as usual, and it's like, you guys need something new and pivoting and whatnot. Yeah, so we were all in agreement that, The Rock was, maybe in talks with New Japan, or just thinking about it, or, I chalked it up to like, Jeff Cobb is coming in on behalf of, The Rock and stuff like that. We were all in agreement, right? Now, after WrestleMania and after this interview, everybody has turned on The Rock, as if like it's The Rock's fault for what has happened at WrestleMania 41 between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. It is not The Rock's fault, and I am not saying that to kiss his ass. It is not his fault. Um, Sometimes people like The Rock and people and other people in the business get really, really tired of dirt sheets, and get really, really tired of, the tabloids, and get really, really tired of the TMZ like people, and they get tired of David Metzler wanting to be like, oh, he's going to be at WrestleMania 41, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And, if The Rock says, don't believe everything what they say, don't believe everything what they say, because they try to guess out there. They throw a bunch of crap to the wall and see what sticks. And if it sticks, they're going to be like, see, I told you guys, I told you guys. When you have to keep guessing, and when you have to keep erasing, rewriting, and like give no explanation as to why you're always changing your mind, then you're looking to be right rather than being right. That's why I always say that there has to be some type of quality control and not quantity control, when it comes to reporting on wrestling, when it comes to reporting on these things. And by the way, their sources are just disgruntled workers that are not going to go anywhere in the business, but they have a job, they're secured to an extent, and those people tend to end up giving away secrets, end up giving away things. Sometimes if you go to the source, they will say whatever they want to, but they'll say it, but they're reported as like, oh, my source said this, when you actually talk to the guy. But you don't want to burn bridges or burn sources. But nobody understands how journalism works nowadays. I remember growing up in school, whenever you did like an academic research paper or an academic essay, they would tell you, cite your sources. Does that mean that every time I cited like a Britannica book, if you guys don't know about that, Google it? Because most of us did not have, Google at the time, or, all of us did like Wikipedia for our academic essays, and be like, oh, our source came from Wikipedia. Well, that's not really a source, because anybody could go in and change that. But the point is that, did I burn a bridge with Wikipedia by writing that into my essay during school time, to be like, this statement uh, is backed up and supported by the source coming from Wikipedia? Did I burn my bridge with Wikipedia by dropping the name Wikipedia? No, I didn't. If I have a sentence or a fact where I have to say that my source is from a Britannica page 200 section 3. Did I burn my source? Which is Britannica, the big ass book that you get in the library? No. So if we're asking for sources, my source says this. Who told you? Is this person part of, the TKO board? Is this person part of a board? Is this person part of a financial call? Were you taking a call? Were you taking a private message and they gave you permission to drop it? Is there any other substance other than my sources told me that The Rock is going to be at WrestleMania 41, and you best believe it. You're not burning bridges if you're like, hey, a financial guy was talking to me and I was talking to a financial guy, and he gave me more knowledge about financials and how things are calculated. And we had a very good conversation or something like that. So if you see the reports on the good revenue that WWE is doing, it's because of X, Y, and Z. And here's what I learned from talking with a financial expert at whatever the fuck, right? Like, you're not burning bridges like that. You're just being like, oh, I talked to somebody. And this is what I learned. And most of the time, if somebody is in that same field of like economics or whatever, somebody could definitely confirm and be like, yeah, that checks out. You're not burning your source. We're not telling you to be like, you know, um, such and such person by the name of like John, who works behind the scenes in WWE or like some promotion, said this. Like, I mean, you could do that too if you want to, but at the same time, it's like that's not what we ask for when we say, cite your sources. I only bring that up because it's such an annoying topic, and other people who come out of like left field, especially on Twitter, will be like, I actually, or how the fuck do you say it? Actually, however the fuck they say it. That, they study journalism with their degree, and I'm like, no, you just say it for convenience. You don't really, you just say it for convenience. Because that way people can get off your back and you could be like, oh, yes, I'm right. I'm always right. But other than that, like, this whole issue with The Rock is such a non issue. And for people to be so loud and quickly turn on The Rock and think that he threw Triple H under the bus and think that he ruined wrestling and he ruined WrestleMania, just say you didn't like the ending. It had nothing to do with The Rock. The Rock did say that, he's going to allow Cody and Cena to take center stage. He didn't say anything about Travis Scott at that point. He just said that he's going to allow Cena and Cody Rhodes take the center stage. And they did. For the weeks of the buildup, of John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, it has always been them. I don't even think they even mentioned The Rock. So why would you think The Rock is going to show up at WrestleMania? Ooh, excuse me. Why would you think that? Like, you know, it's one of those things of like, let's go blame The Rock because you didn't like WrestleMania. And Denisha has entered the chat. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, the whole entire buildup was just The Rock and The Rock and John Cena. That was way, 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 way before. But the whole buildup was just John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and that was the main star, the main attraction. Now, could it have been better? Of course, it could have been better. I felt like it was missing something, and I'm gonna say that it felt like it was missing The Rock. It was missing The Rock because he is the final boss, but I did not want him to do anything to take away the spotlight from it, because then we'll be talking about The Rock. We won't be talking about John Cena capturing the championship title for another title ring and making him 17-time world champion and destroying and surpassing Ric Flair's 16-time World Championship reign as well. So if The Rock was there and he got involved, we're going to be talking about The Rock. We're not even going to be talking about Cody. We're not going to even be talking about Cena and him winning the championship title. We're going to be talking about The Rock. And The Rock did not want to do that on this time around, and it's totally okay. But people need a scapegoat to basically get their frustrations out and their projections out rather than being like, I did not like the finish. Now, did Travis Scott need to be there? No. But then again, Cody Rhodes has a receipt, because Travis Scott slapped him in the face, made him get a bruise and whatnot, not even pop his eardrum, because you will know if someone popped your eardrum. But did I think Travis Scott needed to be there? No. Whenever Travis Scott shows up, I'm thinking like The Rock is going to be right behind him, because I still consider Travis Scott to be a civilian in professional wrestling. Until he like trains and shows off what he can do, maybe I won't see him as a civilian, but he's technically a civilian. He's not Bad Bunny. So, I don't consider Bad Bunny to be a civilian. But I expected The Rock to be coming out with Travis Scott because, like I said, he's a civilian, rather than leaving it in the hands of John Cena. The other thing that I see going around on Twitter is the fact that, The Rock has this massive ego, and The Rock started this story of, selling souls and taking souls, and he started this, and, he started this, he started that. You guys do know, I said this on my live stream, that like, if you're watching your favorite show on like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, whatever it is, episode 1 of that show is not going to reveal the whole entire major plot in one episode. It's going to be like cliffhanger, a little plot point here, an introduction of the characters, and as you go along in the series, you're going to get the plots, and then you're going to finally come to the big major reveal plot, and it's like, oh, it all makes sense now, and you're going to binge watch the whole entire show. Like, I don't understand. Just because The Rock created the story of like, sell me your soul, doesn't mean that it's the end of it just because he didn't show up at WrestleMania. um he showed up at Elimination Chamber because that made sense in terms of the story. He wanted Cody Rhodes' soul for a while. Cody is like, no, I am a babyface. I'm not going to sell it to you. You could go get somebody else. Okay, what did he do? He got somebody else, John Cena. Does John Cena need to be under the wing of The Rock? Because now, Cena sold his soul to get more luxuries when Cena could get whatever the hell he wants. No, because that's stupid. Both of these guys have been in the business for so long that it's like he doesn't need to be there. If anything, think of The Rock as like Kingpin being like the puppeteer and the master behind everything. The Rock is the final boss. Therefore, he doesn't have to show up to WWE. You know that John Cena is a part of like The Rock's little group that The Rock is creating, and John Cena is going out there to do what he wants to do, meaning that he got the championship title, he wants to ruin wrestling. That's another story to look into, and The Rock is just there as like the master puppet and be like, oh, let's go see where this goes, John. I trust you. But in the meantime, The Rock is also doing like deals behind the scenes. He has also a full schedule. Some people might be like, oh, that's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, but when you're at like doing different things, you could do all of that for the betterment of John Cena, for the betterment of the group that he's forming, for the betterment of Cody Rhodes, the betterment of storytelling. Because, like I said, let's go back to when The Rock was wearing the NJPW shirt with the lion mark. That got everybody up in arms. For some reason, we were all in agreement, and then now we're turning on The Rock, and it's like, look, man, it's okay he missed this WrestleMania because he might be doing, deals behind the scenes. And, in the next couple of months, we're going to be getting, some New Japan stars. Maybe in the next couple of months, we're going to be getting some more announcements, and they're all going to be spearheaded by The Rock saying, yeah, we acquired XYZ, we acquired this. This person is part of my team because, they want to sell their soul. They want all the goods, all the luxuries, and they want to partake in everything that I can buy them. Like, let The Rock take us on this ride. He did not need to be at WrestleMania, and I'm okay with that. I also think that, like I said earlier, that Cody Rhodes versus John Cena was missing something. It was missing something, but I'll take it and I'll move along and I'll see what WWE can create. The Monday after Raw was great. Now to the comment of the Rock throwing Triple H under the bus and comments about like, oh, they're butting heads. The Rock didn't mention Triple H in the creative process when he replied to David LaGreca, and it's like, why are you guys creating a fantasy out of nothing? There is probably no issue between The Rock and Triple H. There is probably no issue, but people want to create it because they like drama. They like to be miserable. Just because somebody doesn't, mention somebody in their like response doesn't mean that they have an issue with them. It not all the time, okay? Not all the time, because earlier I was talking about the whole Jeff Cobb versus TJP thing, but that's like on a whole nother different like drama level. But I bet you that there is no drama between The Rock and Triple H in the creative setting. What I can tell during the WrestleMania cards, so like WrestleMania night 1 and night 2, it felt like each of the matches were created and produced by different producers, and you can tell who put in a lot of effort to make it a really good match to be memorable versus like, this is what we got. So it felt like, you can feel like Triple H influence in some of the matches, and then in the other matches you could feel like a Rock sort of influence, but like not to the extreme. I do think that the last time that The Rock was involved in a WrestleMania moment, um, that whole big thing of like taking Cody's spot and whatnot, that was done well. That was done well. The Rock understood that it had to be a whole huge spectacle. And also, The Rock also understands that when he was at Elimination Chamber, whether or not, he got called in to help sell more tickets, that's not the point, because I know somebody might like point that out. When The Rock was at Elimination Chamber and did what he needed to do, was that not a big spectacle? Were we not talking about it? And were we not praising the fact that, Cena finally turned heel and he took The Rock's offer? At this point, like, you know, Cena has nothing to lose, so why not do this? Why not have the two biggest power guys in their career like do this to the rest of the wrestlers and be like, man, you better join us because we have it all. It's that age old story of like, if you can't beat them, join them. And it's that age old story of like, we could give you all the riches in the world and you're missing out. And people would take the riches over being like Cody Rhodes and being like the super baby face and whatnot. But The Rock like did give praise to like Cody Rhodes, give praise to the match. There's also another thing too that people were talking about, that what is it? We talked about like throwing Triple H under the bus, which he really didn't do. Oh, that because David LaGreca was going off on like The Rock using I. Let me just say this. Even if you are working in a team, it is still a team effort. You're always going to say, we did this, we did that. And I think it's really unfair to point out that whenever WWE is successful, The Rock would say, we did this, versus on the Pat McAfee show, he said, oh, I think we would have went in a different direction. You can't throw people's words against them to try to make a non-issue into a problem. Okay, so let me try to put it in a perspective, because in my life, for like my vocabulary, I always say, we did this, we did that. I'm so used to we because I understand what a partnership is all about, what a partnership takes. Whenever we talked about the YouTube partner program, and I was telling my community and anybody else that would listen to me on Twitter, I would say, we are up to X amount of hours out of 4,000 hours. Thank you so much for viewing my content, because it is essentially like my content, right? And it is essentially me by myself making video content, uploading shorts, making videos, writing descriptions, making the thumbnails, sharing it out to all of my social media platforms. It is me. I have no machine behind me. Um, not to really make it um not to really make it about me, but the idea is that sometimes when you're asked a direct question about a particular match because you know that The Rock has an affiliation with all three of these men, Travis Scott, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, he's going to answer honestly, and he's going to answer as himself as an individual. So basically that's the point that I'm trying to make with my content. Whenever I need to put, and you heard how I said it there. Whenever I need to put something out there into the world, I do it. And if somebody, sends me a question, it's always going to be like, well, I did this, I did that. I think that I could have done a little bit better on this video because of X, Y, and Z. Now, if I had like a team that did the thumbnail or whatever, that wouldn't be included into the answer because you're asking me about what did you think about this video that you did? Do you think that you could have did it a little bit better? Then I would be like, yes, I think that I could have done it a little bit better. Now if my whole content was about like a group effort where all of us were there, then I'll be like, well, yeah, I think we could have done a little bit better. And then I'll be like, hey, well, these were my ideas that didn't really make it into the program. And that's all. And that's all The Rock did was like, The Rock was like, I just think there could have been done a little bit better. We could have did a little bit better. And The Rock, offered his services to be like, hey guys, I'm gonna let you guys get the spotlight because you guys deserve it. I don't think I need to be in there. But if you need me, I will be right here. You guys could always call me. That is what a selfless individual does, no matter what. Because they have their own thing going on, but they know that the they know that they can fully have faith into the two guys that are going to be main eventing WrestleMania. That's the difference. Like, there's no point in The Rock inserting himself into this just because he's the final boss, just because he created the story of like, I want your soul, sell me your soul, be on my team kind of deal. Like, he doesn't have to be there unless like, okay, let's fantasy book for a second. If John Cena would have lost to Cody Rhodes and did not get the belt, I bet you The Rock would have inserted himself like the Monday after WrestleMania, because The Rock, like you have to think about this in a kayfabe setting. John Cena has been losing the whole entire time. What would have been the point of joining The Rock if he was going to lose to Cody Rhodes? That would have been, excuse me, that would have been very stupid, very stupid. And then The Rock would have got pissed, and then The Rock would have been like, well, bro, like, you've been doing this for 20 years and you lost to Cody Rhodes, who, just getting his legs back from under him when, like, we know all the secrets, all the games, like, that would have been the other option. And then if he would have inserted himself, would people still be mad at The Rock? This is why the whole flip flopping thing is super annoying, because nobody on the internet knows who to blame rather than moving on. I rather have them move on rather than like blame The Rock, blame Triple H, blame TKO, blame WWE, because it's always blame, blame, blame rather than like, okay, this is what we got now. How do we move forward? How can we help make things a little bit better? And it's very difficult to like book wrestling matches. It's very difficult to book a story that makes sense and doesn't fall, somewhere along the lines where we're like, oh, this is bad. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. I mean, WWE got like all of the huge numbers of like success across all social media platforms and sold out both nights and had like a week long celebration of professional wrestling from NXT to WrestleMania and all of that stuff. And I know Denisha put a comment in the comment section saying that she appreciates my hard work and I deserve all my success, and I appreciate that from you, Denisha. I really do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But you know, being so upset at The Rock, that doesn't make any sense. There's no logical sense to it. That's why he always says, like, you know, if he has to tell people it's a work for them to calm down, because sometimes the the anger, right? The anger is only for performance. And he can tell that the anger is only for performance. Like, we can tell. We can tell. There's no reason to get that upset at The Rock when he's like, well, I didn't show up at WrestleMania 41 because I felt like I didn't want to be part of the spotlight. That's a very valid freaking comment to say, that he didn't want to be part of the spotlight because his spotlight will outshine both of the guys. When The Rock was never on any of the tours overseas, and then all of a sudden he's gonna show up at WrestleMania. Now, a cameo, I would be like, yes, show up as a cameo. But like, to be there to do something, you know. Also on the live stream, I did say that whenever Mama Rhodes is at ringside, I always expect The Rock as well, because um uh I'm like, yo, The Rock made that famous of like, he's coming from Mama Rhodes. So I'm always expecting that, you know. But all the hate that The Rock is getting, stop making him to be the fall guy. It's not that serious. You guys are making a non-issue into an issue that has like no relevance. He didn't want to be at WrestleMania 41. He gave his comment, and leave it at that, because that is a valid comment to say that he did not want to take away the spotlight from both John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Because if he did, the crowd would not have reacted the way they did to John Cena getting number 17. Would have never reacted that way. And Denisha's right that Dave LaGreca, does do things for clickbait and views, and then, you know, calms down to be a little kid when he gets, you know, called out for it. And I don't understand why you be hurt and disappointed by The Rock's comments when they are not directed at any fan. They are not directed at the fans. The Rock's comments on Pat McAfee's show is just him answering questions in a very honest way. How come in 2025 the IWC does not understand what honesty is? Why do they have to think like there's an ulterior motive? The Rock could be like a million things, but what ulterior motive has he ever shown us where people can start doubting him just because he was like, hey, don't believe everything that you read on the internet, when you know, what was it, Dave Metzler was like, oh, he's gonna not show up at WrestleMania or show up at WrestleMania, and Nick Khan was like, hey, the internet says you're not gonna show up, or whatever it was it because of that? Like, this whole timeline is kind of weird, and it's sort of like very, very exhausting. It's like they give you what you want, but they don't give you what you want. You complain, you complain, you complain. You can't like sometimes be neutral about things, or just be like, oh, um that ending sucked, and moved on. Like, why does it have to be a week long of misery and repeating the same things and not coming to a solution of what could have been done better? But again, like, what would The Rock do at WrestleMania 41? If somebody can tell me that in the comments, I will read it. I will respond to you. I will think about it. But seriously, if The Rock has shown up to WrestleMania 41, what would he have done? What would his role be? If The Rock did not make the tour overseas, but Cody and John Cena did, and all they did were promos until we got to WrestleMania 41 night 2, what would The Rock have done in this story? Like, you guys got to be smart. And there's a lot of my mutuals that I'm like, I know you guys are smart. I know you guys understand wrestling. But if you look at it again, the main question that I'm going to ask, and I would love all the creatives and all the content creators to let me know and answer if you see this, that what role And what would The Rock, the final boss, what would he have done if he decided to show up at WrestleMania 41 with no prior interactions? What would he have done? Let me know in the comment, because I think that this is a very interesting thing to look at, to sort of see where people's minds are. But people are losing their shit because of what The Rock said on Pat McAfee, which was not even remotely bad. It's okay to say, I did not like this. This main event was not up to par. This main event, didn't hold a standard. But if The Rock came out during Cody versus Cena, then the match would have held to a standard. Because are you expecting it to have like a huge grand spectacle because it is WrestleMania? Some of the matches that I'm going to go over in a little bit are, to me, somewhat of a dud. And that's okay. You don't have to have high expectations going into WrestleMania or any of the other pay-per-views or any of the other events, because you're going to have a good time. If you have a really, really high expectation and it falls apart, then, it's like, you got your hopes up for nothing. You enjoy the ride more when you don't go from 0 to 1,000 and expecting all of this fantasy booking to be done to appease just you. And this is what I mean about the wrestling fan base, the IWC, and how selfish they are. And it goes across both like AEW and WWE. We don't fucking get this shit with MOW, and I'm fucking happy about it. Every time that I talk to MOW fans, they are having the best time of their lives. By the way, if you guys don't know yet, MOW returns right here to New York City at the Melrose Ballroom, June 26th. So make sure you get your tickets now. And congratulations to MOW for selling out in Chicago next month. Yeah, it should be next month. For selling out in Chicago. Okay. Now let's go over these WrestleMania matches. So we're gonna go over the full WrestleMania card for night 1 and night 2. And it's from the WWE Network. Well, I used to work on the WWE Network. Good times. But yeah, it's the results off of the WWE website. Um, just because. I was surprised that um we would start with the World Heavyweight Championship title of Jey Uso versus Gunther. Um, this has been a whirlwind because this was a very, very obvious matchup. There was nothing different about it other than the fact that Gunther went to the extremes and beat up Jimmy and had him bleed and all that kind of stuff, so that way we could get a new Jey Uso. But I think the one problem with Jay is, and it's not really like a huge issue, but it's more like an observation, is that because he is so over and people love doing the whole yeet, and he turns every single arena into a party, which is fantastic. You really, really want that. You really do. Um, Man, my allergies. However, that eats into the match time. So, I'm expecting Jey Uso versus Gunther to be like a fight. And because of um doing the yeet, like I said, the entrance eats up into the match time. So if a producer says that your match is 15 minutes, it's 15 minutes plus the entrance time as well. So you have to deduct the entrance time from that 15 minutes, and that is your true time for the total amount of your matches. And that's how it is. So just because the bell rings when both men are in, or both women are in the ring, doesn't mean like that's when the time starts. It's basically starts when the entrances happen. So entrances are like 2 to 3 minutes. So let's just say a total of like 6 minutes, right? To make everything cohesive. And I don't feel like using my brain right now. So if I say that the match is 15 minutes and we deduct 6 minutes from that, you have a total of 9 minutes to get everything in to the best of your ability. Um, but most timekeepers nowadays don't really keep track of time, but that's just how that works. I really thought that this was gonna be a fight because Jay was like, I pray to God for him to help me because he is gonna become a different man during this fight. But yeah, I just wish that sometimes we could see a different side of Jay Uso and a different side of starting the match because Gunther wouldn't be expecting Jey Uso to come out and like fight him. You know what I mean? But we do have a new champion in Jey Uso. Congratulations to Jey Uso for getting the World Heavyweight Championship. It's long overdue. I do think that the first time around, I think um, Saturday night's main event, he should have won it then. And the story could have progressed from there, and he still could have kept it during WrestleMania. There we go. The next one is the World Tag Team Title match of the New Day versus the War Raiders. This was a very interesting match. I don't know. This one felt like it could have been saved for Raw, but it's a WrestleMania moment for the New Day. The New Day ended up becoming the new champions and dethroning the War Raiders, which wasn't a bad match. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I like the fact that Naomi has a rock metal song that she comes out to, and it's fantastic. I do love the evolution now of Naomi's character change because I'm gonna be very, very honest. I never understood the glow. Never understood it. It's like you gave her the gimmick long, 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 long ago. She kept it, and it's like I don't understand what it means. Nobody truly like really dove deep into like this is what it means. But this whole new thing of like caution and see how dangerous that she could be as a heel, great. Jay Cargill is actually progressing. Awesome. And then Jay defeated Naomi. I'm not sure if that was the right call, just because what do you do from there? Naomi is the heel. Jay could like continue to chase. If they added Bianca to this because Bianca knew something because Bianca is turning heel, that could be like a fresh layer, but who knows? But yeah, I don't think Jade winning was the right call. The United States Championship match that featured Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight was a damn good match, and Jacob Fatu, congratulations to him for not only dethroning LA Knight and becoming the new United States Championship title, but my homie making a WrestleMania moment, a WrestleMania debut. Congratulations to Jacob Fatu. I hope that sometime down the line we meet up again and we do another interview. I love that dude so much. So congratulations to Jacob Fatu. El Grande Americano versus Ray Phoenix. For all of the pearl clutching people out there, please stop. Please stop. Enjoy the ride of El Grande Americano. It's the same way back in the day of WWE when they had Hulk Hogan come out in a mask and he was a luchador all of a sudden, but nobody could tell who he was because he was Mr. America, and Vince was trying to figure out who this masked wrestler is. Back in the day, we had Edge and Christian wear onesies, a full golden onesie that had like covered everything, and they were called the Conquistadors. We had JBL at one point going across the border to find Mexicans and put them over the border, which was a very like whoa kind of thing to do back then. But we all bought it and shit, and we have memories. We have we don't take this shit that seriously. Stop taking it seriously. Stop doing all of that. Just enjoy that it's El Grande Americano. It's not really hurting you. It's not affecting you in like any way, shape, or form. But El Grande Americano, even though we say that he's not Chad Gable, he's doing a hell of a job as like somebody else. And he defeated Ray Phoenix, and Ray Phoenix had his WrestleMania moment. And look at that. When you leave the prison and or custody of All Elite Wrestling, you get WrestleMania moments. So for anybody over there in AEW that's sitting on the fence that can see the writing on the wall, maybe head over to WWE or MOW or any other promotion out there. You get to do great things. You get to win championship titles. You get to have WrestleMania moments. You get to be treated differently, and they see the potential in you. Um, the WWE Women's Championship match that had Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Normally, I am a Charlotte Flair fan. However, her win at Royal Rumble was not needed. She cut the line because every other woman that has been there basically deserved, the same kind of spotlight that Charlotte had. Tiffany is young, and I love Tiffany. Tiffany has the whole world ahead of her. I have questions for Tiffany Stratton. I overheard that she considers 80s music to be 60s music. Her and I need to have a chat about that because what? Listen, 60s music, depending on like who you're playing, has some damn good 60s songs. And then the 80s music, damn good 80s music. Like today's music don't even have fucking soul. And she wants to be like 80s music is like 60s music. It's old music. Like, oh my God. This is why sometimes, depending on what generation you're in, which I fucking hate that you put us in a box. But depending on like your knowledge and or what you like, it's like why do you guys make it as if like the world revolves around all of the young 20-year-olds that want to be like, I have the life experience. I'm gonna tell you that this is old and you're old and oh my God, you're so old for that. Like, no, there's there's more to life than being like, oh, you're old, like But then again, uh, your listening taste in music do change when you grow up. It does. However, the match itself, I feel like Charlotte is just going on on a battery. She's just running on fuel. It doesn't feel like the same Charlotte that was there. It feels like because she got injured and because she recovered, she came back to work. It's like, she's back on work, she's back on work, she's back on work. Because it feels like she doesn't know what else to do. And having a match with Tiffany Stratton, I'm just like, there is something off during this whole match. Something is off. And I'm not putting blame on one lady. I'll put the blame on both because it is a team effort to make a really, really, really good match. But I just don't know what it is about Charlotte nowadays. It feels like it's a step behind, or she wants to do things in a match that the other opponent is not ready for it. If Charlotte and Tiffany were to spar ahead of time and have practice matches ahead of time, I believe that they'll have a very, very good chemistry. There it is. For some reason, yeah. Charlotte has selected chemistry with selected wrestlers. Um, oh, excuse me, I need to drink some water soon. But she has selective chemistry with selected wrestlers, and Tiffany Stratton is not one of them unless she does practice matches with her, so that way both of them could understand how to use certain moves. How to do this, how to do that. Not saying that they don't know how to do anything, but sometimes when you get used to the rhythm of your opponent, you'll have better matches. Now, let's talk about. Oh, by the way, Tiffany Stratton retains the women's championship title. And now the question is, what is Charlotte Flair going to do? The triple threat match. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk was done beautifully. It was cinema. It was everything that we ever wanted. I was more emotionally invested into this triple threat versus the main event of night two. I was way more emotionally invested in this. And Paul Heyman betraying everybody, but then going to the side of Seth Rollins, like, this is fantastic. Fantastic. Roman Reigns and CM Punk just used Paul Heyman, whenever they wanted something, like Paul Heyman would give it to them, and after a while, Paul Heyman is like, "Nah, man, fuck you guys." And we sided with Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins never really took something from Paul without giving him something in return, kind of deal. But fantastic through and through, man, fantastic. And then on the Monday night after Raw, we got Braun Breaker to be added to the team to be a Paul Heyman guy. I am on this ride. I am totally on this ride. By the way, Seth Rollins wins. Seth Rollins wins and takes Paul Heyman with him. Now, for night 2, we had the Triple Threat Women's World Championship match that had Io Sky versus Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. As much as I am not a fan of Rhea Ripley because I think she tries way too hard for her character, tries way too hard to be gothic, it's just not for me. It's just like, okay, I get it. I totally get it. Bianca Belair is still a fantastic wrestler to watch and support, and she gets it. Io Sky is fantastic. Their chemistry altogether is great. The moments that they pick were great. The counters that happened were great. Io Sky retains her championship title in this triple threat. The Sin City street fight was interesting because I did not know that this was going to be a street fight. I did not know that. I love Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is such a fucking menace, man. He is so good at what he does. Damian Priest is good too. I'm a fan of both of these guys. Drew McIntyre defeated Damian Priest in a street fight, which is kind of interesting because now, Drew McIntyre can be like, he's the true street king kind of deal. After that, we had the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental Championship match that had Dominic Mysterio versus Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor and Penta. Again, when you leave the prison of AEW, you get a WrestleMania moment. You become a big star in WWE. Braun Breaker was a champion. Braun Breaker has been a very good Intercontinental Champion since he won it back from Jey Uso, which I think that they should have let Jey Uso keep that belt a little bit longer other than just giving it right back to Braun Breaker. Finn Balor has always been good. I just think that Finn needs to bring back the demon eventually, and then Finn needs to pivot and get away from Judgment Day. We'll see what happens. And then Dominic, man, Dominic is so good in the ring. I was not expecting Dominic Mysterio to win the Intercontinental Championship title, and everybody, gave him love and praise and his flowers, and he rightfully deserved that. And then if you guys saw online the reaction that Liv and Raquel had when Dominic won the championship title, fantastic. Well deserved by Dominic, even though I don't think that he should forever eat chicken tendies. Like, get a steak. Get like man food. Like something men would eat, not chicken tenders like 24/7, dude. But that's just me. Randy Orton had a mystery opponent, and that is Joe Hendry. Okay, I didn't want to fuck up his name. I don't know. If I say his name like 3 times, I wonder if he's gonna appear, but we'll try that a different time. For all the people that were giving Joe Hendry shit, you guys don't know anything, right? You guys say that he was buried. You guys say that it was bad for TNA, for the TNA champion to get squashed. So let's put this into perspective because for some reason, wrestling fans don't have a really high IQ when it comes to wrestling, and they don't think about story and what can happen if one of the other wrestlers come in and fight Randy Orton. The only reason why Randy Orton was asking for an opponent at WrestleMania is because Kevin Owens had to tell us that he needed neck surgery and it's legit and all that kind of stuff. So, Randy Orton was left without an opponent going into WrestleMania. So, he asked for a mystery opponent. Now, logically, it would have made sense to have Nick Aldis there to fight Randy Orton because Randy Orton keeps RKOing Nick Aldis and stuff. And Nick Aldis is no slouch. He's no pushover. He's a former wrestler, former NWA champion that held the championship title for 1,000 days. And so, it would make sense to have Nick Aldis. And I think that if Nick Aldis would have came out to be Randy Orton's opponent, that would have been awesome. That would have been great. But I don't think that would have been like the WrestleMania moment, so to speak, because we could always set that up like for another WrestleMania. If Randy Orton was going to face Rusev, who just came back, he showed up on the Monday night after WrestleMania. And if he lost to Randy Orton, it would have been a wasted space. Um, if Randy Orton were to face one of the guys in the back, it would have been a wasted space. So what do you do to get a WrestleMania moment and to get the crowd into it and create a spectacle? You go and get Joe Hendry and you have him fight Randy Orton. And yeah, he took the pin, but 60,000 plus people were singing his song. 60,000 plus people went along with Joe Henry doing the turn and stuff like that. And he put up a fight. Randy Orton didn't mind. Randy Orton gave him the seal of approval by, doing his spin and tapping him on the chest. And basically, that was, good for business. And while people can argue that, like, it makes the TNA champion look bad, the phrase of "you can't win them all" comes to mind. But this does a little bit more because eventually we can pivot to be like, well, you lost against Randy. Let's have a program with Randy going over to TNA. Then what? Then what? After Joe Henry is done, I guess facing Oba because they're gonna set that up for TNA Rebellion. But like after that, what if like Randy Orton shows up? The sky's the limit with storytelling here. Like WWE is not like closing any doors of like, oh, this can't happen, that can happen. WWE is all about like, yo, let's bring the surprises. Let's see what happens. Like Joe Henry understands the business and understands that like, he's asked to do certain things. And who's gonna say no to like fighting Randy Orton and losing to Randy Orton of all people? Like most people want to be Randy Orton and someone is gonna be like, oh no, I can't do it. It's not gonna work for me, brother, because it's Randy Orton. I'm not gonna lay down. Like what? Man, Joe Henry is fine. Did you guys see like the media tour that he did right after like WrestleMania? He's fine. Like, when is the last time somebody like lost a match at WrestleMania and did a media tour that quick? Nobody. Not to my knowledge. Um, After that, we got Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. Why the fuck did Logan Paul had to win? Listen, I give Logan Paul his flowers for being a really good wrestler, a really good athlete, and that's as far as it goes. But AJ Styles, just turn heel, go go be partners with Karrion Kross. Listen to Karrion Kross, please. Like you shouldn't be losing to Logan Paul, of all people. You are a Bullet Club member. You have an extensive accomplishment resume. And like you even said it yourself that you don't have that long left in the business. And you lose to Logan Paul, of all people. Karrion Kross, please like go save AJ Styles. The WWE Women's Tag Team title match, which I did not like at all. Did not like it. So stupid. So stupid. It's stupid because I know that this was okay. So listen, I know that this was a moment for both Lyra and Becky due to their personal history. Okay, their personal life history. I understand that it was a moment. WrestleMania is all about making moments and giving fans a spectacle and giving the fans what they want. But to have Becky Lynch come out, be a tag team partner with Lyra, instead of having Bailey, that Becky and Lyra would win the championship titles, the tag team titles off of Liv and Raquel, and it's like what? Luckily they drop them back, and then Becky becomes heel. By the way, I am not a Becky Lynch fan at all. I'm not a Becky Lynch fan. Like I don't get the hype. I really don't. I think it's forced. I don't think it's true to herself. I just don't see it. But yeah, at the time of WrestleMania Night 2, we did have new tag team champions of Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. But on the Monday night after Raw, luckily, thankfully, Raquel and Liv Morgan got the championship titles back. Also, I do want to make mention is that in the IWC, please stop being activist 24/7. Even though Raquel speaks Spanish and she probably feels more comfortable yelling at people in Spanish, not everybody understands Spanish. So if we ask or tell and be like, hey, please speak English so that way I can understand you. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of an issue. You want to know why? Because I'm half Spanish. I'm half Puerto Rican. Whenever I'm outside, other Spanish people, whether they are men or women, come up to me and start speaking to me in Spanish. And I don't know Spanish like that. And I would like legit be like, I don't understand. I don't understand it. Like, and I'm talking in English and they can hear that I'm talking in English, and then most of the time they're like, oh, I'm sorry. They'll tell me I'm sorry because like, their English is not that good. So not all of us understand Spanish. Spanish is not our first languages in most of America, and in most households it's English. Some of us tend to learn Spanish a little bit later. I can pick up some words and understand some words, but it is not racist to be like, hey, can you please speak English to me? Or hey, I don't understand. Now, depending on like the context and everything, like, yeah, it could come off like really, really bad, depending on like the context, the tone and stuff. But if you're just gonna like do like an umbrella sort of like, oh my god, I gotta get mad because it's racist. No, stop it. Stop that. Stop doing the umbrella thing where you are grouping everything together. Stop that. Everything has context, everything has an explanation to it. There are three sides to a story rather than two sides. There's the right side, the wrong side, and then like something in the middle, because it has to be like there has to be something that like can tell you, oh, I'm gonna stay in the middle because I understand both sides. Plus, anyway, Raquel knows how to speak English, and McAfee understands English. So if she's yelling at him in English, he could definitely be like, "Let me explain, X, Y, and Z why this is happening," or give her some advice and be like, "Hey, you could do this, this, and that." All we want is an understanding. But to automatically go on Twitter and be like, "How dare Pat McAfee," and it's like everyone is so against something that is a non-issue that they make it into an issue, and they think that they're doing right by the side of history, and it's like, you guys are not. It's ruining the experiences of other people online for no reason because you want to be an activist 24/7, when in reality, real people that go outside every day do get stopped by other people, and if they see you, they think that you are that same race that they are. If you're Spanish, they and another Spanish person sees you and they go up to you and they start speaking to you in Spanish, you can literally say, I don't understand. Like, do you want to be rude and have them think like you understand what they're saying, but you really don't understand what they're saying? Like, we all have a voice to be like, hey, I don't understand what you're saying. Please speak English. I'm so sorry. I cannot help you. I do not understand Spanish. It's okay to say that. But for some reason on the internet, on Twitter, even though we say Twitter is not real life, everybody wants to just blanket over everything and make everything seem as if like we're all robots. We all experience the same mundane um like blanket kind of stuff, and it's like, no, everybody has their own individual mindset. Everyone goes to the beat of their own drum. Like, everyone talks different, everyone thinks different. We don't think like you. And I really hate that sometimes the 24/7 activists in the wrestling community over on Twitter, because they came over back from Blue Cries, that they all think that we need to be like them, and it's like, no. And it's all the 18 to like really early 20-year-olds that get so super brainwashed, and they don't know that they're brainwashed. Go outside, have some experiences, talk to people, and you'll get out of that fucking brainwash that you guys are currently in. But yeah, you guys got to stop doing that, about like trying to clutch your pearls and be like, oh my god, how dare Pat McAfee say this, or how dare this person says that, blah blah blah. Like, no, chill out. The world is fine. People are fine. But on Twitter, The currency is misery loves company. The currency is let me be negative for the attention because I really don't believe in this, but everyone else says it. So let me be negative and let me do what everyone else does. Um, and I really hope that we break out of that. I really, really hope. Um, After that, Stone Cold Steve Austin returns to say that on WrestleMania night 2, it was 60,000 plus people in the stands. And then let's talk about this main event very quickly. When I like really talked about it like earlier, I was gonna be like ahead of this. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, like I said, was missing something. I really think that it was missing just a cameo of The Rock, just to be there, not for The Rock to fully get involved. And like I said, if Mama Rose is at ringside, The Rock made it famous with, Mama Rose this, Mama Rose that. John Cena was definitely directing the match, and I was like, oh man, this could have been better. It could have been better as a match. I don't know if it needed like a blood spot where somebody bleeds or like it got like really physical and whatnot because John Cena's a heel, so why not use a chair? Why not use the ring to your advantage? Why not, do some stuff? I mean, yeah, he poked him in the eye and whatnot. Then Cody Rhodes got distracted by Travis Scott coming down. Travis Scott took a crossroads, and that guy was just there, lifeless. And I was like, man, you're selling it way too hard, but okay. And then Travis came into the ring to celebrate with John Cena. And like I said, Travis to me is still a civilian in professional wrestling. So I think The Rock being there just helps out just a little bit more. Do we need Travis Scott in wrestling? No, we don't. I don't know any of his songs. He's not an artist I listen to. He's not a rapper I listen to. And Fiend is such an annoying song. But, The Rock is like, excuse me, The Rock is like, Travis is so passionate about wrestling and about this and that. And I'm like, really? I mean, I guess he has a clothing line named Cactus Jack, which confuses the shit out of me sometimes, but it is what it is. Cody Rhodes loses to John Cena. John Cena becomes 17-time world champion. And like I said, if that did not happen, then The Rock would have showed up on the Monday after Raw to say something, to make an example out of John Cena, but these two guys have so much history, so many years under their belt that The Rock trusted John Cena and Cody Rhodes to carry the match, and that's why he wasn't there to be part of the spotlight because he knew that John Cena was gonna win. So accept his comments. It's not really that big of a deal. Other than that, I enjoyed WrestleMania Night 1 main event more than Night 2 main event WrestleMania. I don't think WrestleManias should be like 2 nights, but I'm so used to it now that I'm just like, oh, whatever. But WWE is on fire right now. WWE is on a roll. WWE is doing good. Sometimes people just hate when things are doing good. The other company is trying to play catch up. They're trying to play catch up, but it's not going to work. I don't really do WWE reviews, but I want to do this one exclusively for Substack. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not signed up to marieshadows.substack.com, please do so for free and exclusive live streams like this and just free content. Head over to youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast to get yourself a YouTube membership. That is right. We are in the YouTube program. So you can get a membership either at $1.99 a month or $9.99 a month, depending on what your budget allows. And that helps out with the channel and everything that I do. Head over to, all links to be down in the description. I have so many things going on. I have merchandise. By the way, if you go over to the YouTube side of things, there are products listed for merchandise. You guys can go buy stickers, mugs, tumblers, t-shirts, everything that's there. If you are a wrestler and you're looking for feedback on your wrestling match, hit me up as well. I do have a membership program going on about that. I just helped out O'Shea Edwards and his match and gave him feedback. I could do the same thing for you guys. I do host tape study series where if you guys want to know like how I break down wrestling matches, just let me know. I'll send you a link. So that is over at my Fourth Wall account where all the merchandise is at. Again, all links to be down in the description below. Other than that, I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure to leave comments. I will be replying to everybody. If you think that you want to give your opinion on stuff, go ahead. I'll read it. I'll respond to it. I'm not really good with outros, but just know that I appreciate every single one of you guys, and thank you for showing up. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching and sharing this out. And hopefully, we get to do well. We are going to do more of these. Um, this is why rambling is not that good. But ladies and gentlemen, I will see you on the next one. Bye.